So today I got the whole kit to try to place one of these, a Petzl Long Life anchor, and then remove it. So this thing is really kind of a weird bolt. It's all stainless steel. The hanger doesn't come off the bolt, and it's about 1 7/8 deep, and then it has these flutes there cut into it, and you just pound it in like this, and then you take the drive-in pin, and that's what actually expands the cone in the back. So first thing we're going to do is drill a hole for this guy. So I'm just going to set that down there in the snow. And so that's how deep I drilled it. It was plenty deep for this bolt. It's only this deep. So it's about how much you'd clean it out, maybe a little more, but since we're gonna take it out, it doesn't really matter. So that's how it sits, right? And then so it's completely tight, right, to the rock. And then you take the drive-in pin. Boom. So that's pretty much all you have to do to set the anchor. And then the hard part is now getting it out. So I'm gonna tap right in the middle with a little punch. So this is just a little DeWalt punch. It's kind of sharp. I'm gonna try to go perfectly in the middle so I can start with a really small hole. So see, I've drilled I've just punched a really small bit so I can start the drill bit. And then I'm starting with a really small drill bit and a little bit of Tap Magic cutting fluid. Well, that's not good. My drill bit just broke in the hole. All right, so we're gonna drill a new one since I fucked that one up. So here we go. All right, it's nice and in there, just like the ones on Crossroads are. So I'm gonna do the same thing we did last time. Just use the punch to get a direct hit right in the center. So here's how long the pin is, and there's how far I've drilled. So I gotta go a little bit more. So I'm actually gonna kick this out a little, so I know when I get to the very end, then that's the very end of the pin. So just gonna pull it out a tiny bit more. There we go. When I get to the end of that, that'll be the very bottom of the hole, and therefore the very end of the pin drilled out with the first drill bit. Alright, that was 6 minutes. So I'm noticing it's kind of having a hard time getting all the chips out now that the hole's so deep. It's also using a lot of tapping fluid, mostly because it's just getting pushed out right there at the end. So that should be the very end of that, because here's our pin. Boom. This one is a 3/16, similar drill bit, cobalt hardened drill bit, and I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to make it just a little bit longer than the drill bit, so we know when we're done drilling this out that there's pretty much nothing left. And I'm going to start with some cutting fluid again, and we're about 9 minutes into drilling this out. So it is taking a lot longer than it takes to drill a regular bolt out, but we're making good progress there. It's going a lot faster right here at the end. My drill bit's nice and hot. So, I don't know if you can see or how well you can see, but the pin is mostly drilled out. So I'm going to step it up one last time to 1/4 inch, which is about the diameter of the pin. And hopefully, when I'm done with this one, the bolt will move. And if it doesn't, I'm going to put the Hurley Junior on it, or sorry, the Hurley Senior on it, and see if I can't get it out that way. So, but yeah, here's one last drill bit step up. That was really clearly it. That was the end of the pin. So the pin is completely gone all the way down. I mean, I'm bottoming that out, and this is way longer than that. So the pin should be completely gone. So I should be able to work this out. So let's try funking it a couple more times. It really doesn't want to move. So let's go get a bigger tool. Okay, so I now have the Hurley Senior, which I made this one, but this is basically a bolt puller, and I'm going to use this because I don't have any tuning forks with me. So all this does, this goes over the bolt head, and we're going to do the one that I completely drilled out first, just to make sure that that one doesn't blow out the rock at all. I just want to test that out first. And so ideally you want to pull straight out on the bolt. So I've got a bunch of lithium grease on these threads. So you see how this thing wants to camber like that? We want to pretty much pull straight out from the rock. So I'm just going to back it out a tiny bit, and I'm just going to put these pliers under here So we're just more or less pulling straight up away from the rock, you know, 90 degrees to the angle of the rock. So that looks pretty good to me. So this is just friction fit, so it should just come right out. But we're just gonna do some turns. As the brand new bolt on the bolt puller. This guy is brand new. We're just gonna keep going, and it seems like it's coming out. And I'm just hoping that it's not gonna damage the rock at all. You hear that? It's a good sound. I think it's coming right out. That was it, guys. Just pulled out Petzl lifelong bolt, and look, it did even damage the rock a little bit, so that's not ideal. So it kind of makes me think maybe chopping and patching is even the way on these ones, just so something like that doesn't happen. So here's test number 2. This is a Petzl lifelong that I failed to drill because my drill bit snapped off inside, and so I'm actually expecting this one to do a lot worse and pull a lot more rock out when I pull it straight out. So let's just see when it starts to go what kind of noises it's gonna make. I feel like it's either gonna just completely explode or just come right out. Yeah, see, that time the bolt did come out, but it also, you know, pulverized the rock, which if you're trying to put a glue in right there, it's not very good. So I guess there's always room for improvement. If I could have drilled that one straighter, maybe I would have done less rock damage. But obviously it's not recommended to just pull these Petzl lifelong bolts straight out, even though it is possible. I just made a huge rock scar in this boulder, which is unfortunate. You know, obviously it's not a real route, but if it were, that would suck. So my findings are kind of like I'd rather do a chop and a glue-in bolt right above it. I think that really is going to be a better solution. So you can see on this one, I kind of missed center. Maybe if I'd gotten perfectly in the center and drilled perfectly in the center the whole time, the bolt would just have kind of come out without damaging the rock so much. So maybe it's a little finesse to it as well, just in the technique and your angle. So that's an interesting thing to note.